Hey everybody, Amy with Garden Up here, and today what we're going to do is build some compost bins out of pallets. Very excited for this. We're going to work on a 3-bin system, several pallets right next to each other. So what you'll need in order to do what we're doing is 3 plus 2 pallets for each bin that you want. So we will need 7, 3 for the first one, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you're going to need some way of holding them together. So we are just going to use little scraps of 2x2 blocks. We will pre-drill a hole this way and one this way, probably about an inch apart from each other, like that. And that'll go in the corner between the 2 pallets. And the important thing with that is that it lands on some vertical slats of wood. We might need to bring in some more pieces of scrap wood in order to make that happen. But you'll see it as we go along, like what we deal with when attaching pallets to each other. And then we're going to do a thing in the front, which I will show a little later, but what you'll need for that is full-size pieces of 2x4s and some 1x6 pieces of planks of wood. So, without further ado, I'll walk you around the project. Okay, so here's where the first bin is going to go. It's going to be right next to my wood pile. The slats, we're going to turn this so that the slats are vertical. I am putting another pallet next to this one because this one, for one thing, has a bunch of big gaps in it, which don't really work for the compost bins. And for another, if we ever move, we might take one of these but not the other with us, in which case one would be missing a wall and that wouldn't do us any good. But we've dug out a trench so we can level the area. We are not going to put a pallet on the bottom. See, on the wood pile we put pallets on the bottom to keep the wood up off the ground. We don't want to do that with a compost bin. We want the compost to touch the ground so the worms can get up into the compost. So we'll just need the 3 on the outside, and then we'll put the next 2 next to it and the next 2 next to it over there. So we got to clean out this corner, which we will do just periodically as we progress through this. So we're ready to assemble the first unit. I'm going to take my drill with a drill bit and drill holes, pre-drill these. And then for the screws, you want your screw to be long enough to go through your block, but not so long that it also goes completely through this piece. Because if you have, so I have 3-inch screws here also, and if I were to use these, it would go all the way through there for sure, but it would also go way past here and leave a sharp edge for somebody to potentially hurt themselves on someday, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to do a 2-inch screw through the 2x2, which is actually 1.5 inches, which will also go perfectly into these vertical pieces of wood. So to start with, okay, I'm going to pre-drill this hole, and this part I just do it on the ground, no big deal, so I can hold the wood. And turn it, and about an inch away, so I have 2 blocks that are pre-drilled. Switch bits. My screwdriver bit, that's a Phillips head right there. Yeah. So now I have my block with 2 screws partially into the pre-drilled holes. All I have to do now is put this where I want it and finish screwing. Make sure everything's lined up. One's going to go at the top, one will go at the bottom. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, which you do first. So the problem I'm running in here is the angle I put the screws in is actually a little bit like this way, so my drill is hitting the board. But for the most part, there it is. I mean, it's a compost bin. I'm not like using this. It doesn't have to be super structurally sound or anything. It just needs to stay together. So that'll about do it. So we're going to do that again right here. And then I'm going to take these and put them in the front. And then that's the first bin. That's all there is to it. All right, so now that we have the compost bins built and shored up so everything's more or less square, we've got the same distance between the top and the bottom of the front. So the next step is to take our 2x2s that are going to be holding up the planks, and we're going to screw them in on either side of where the plank is going to go. So there's going to be two 2x2s with a gap in the middle for that plank. Here are our planks, and this is the only thing I bought, well, and these, but this is probably the most expensive part of this. Each of these boards was about 10 bucks. But you could just use pallet wood, take it apart. You could use nothing but pallets for this project. Pallets are great, but I want this to last a little longer than that, so I'm using these. All right, so what I'm going to do is cut a small piece to go on the bottom because I want a gap where there are no planks so that I can get to my compost. And then I'm going to measure at that point and cut whatever the height is, 2 pieces to go there. So, let's get started. Cut one at a time to make sure I don't cut a long piece into a bunch of little pieces and then run out of long pieces. 9 inches. So I'm going to cut 2 29-inch lengths to go right there. Perfect. I got a few more of these. Pre-drill some holes. In place, I'm also going to measure with this. Should be about 3/4 of an inch or so. Yeah, 3/4 of an inch. So I'm actually going to put a 1-inch gap between my planks, so there's plenty of room for that. There's no reason to have it so tight that you struggle to get it in or out. There we go. And then we will cut the planks. Once we get these on both sides, we'll cut the planks so that they just slide right in there and they hold the compost in. This way we can get more compost in the bins and it stays where we put it.